flight deck.
What?
It was an Alitalia aircraft before in its previous life.
Really?
So it's an actual flight deck. I'm an Airbus pilot, I'm a captain. I was with Thomas Cook for 20 years. I'm with Jet 2 now. So I can say, hands on heart, it's absolutely spot on replica of the aircraft itself. So it's sort of replica, it's an actual flight deck.
Yeah.
I
wish I was wearing one of those because my mouth is like super happy.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
Come
Come and go as you please, feel free. Because it won't move, that's the... Although it feels like we're moving. Just try and position my seat as well. Okay.
Oh
Is this a
my.
birthday present, Ian? Was it Christmas or...?
It is, yes.
It was in July's birthday.
Ah, yeah. Right, I'm going to try and work out how to... Bit file that there. Right, so to control the aircraft, on the left hand there, you've got, as you have correctly done, select the little side stick. Move it right to go right, move it left to go left. How do you think you climb the aircraft? Raise the, that's it, pull back, and to lower the nose, to descend, push forward. The red button there, it's not a missile button, it's to disconnect the autopilot.
Oh.
Okay. Outboard of that is, I'll get my light again. See, I've got something here.
Yeah.
Put your fingers, like as if you're going to wave, around the outside. There's some mould there.
Okay.
You can do that.
Let me just get my torch out.
Your hand there, that's it. And that's how we steer the aircraft on the ground. So it's spring loaded to centre, and you can move it left and right, and which moves the nose wheel left and right. Okay.
Nice.
And the way can you look out the window here? We can see there's a yellow centre line there. We keep the nose wheel, which is in the middle, on that yellow line. That's how we taxi. We follow the yellow lines, like follow the yellow brick road almost. So follow the yellow lines.
Dorothy.
That's right. Air traffic control would tell us which taxiways to take, and they're all lettered. So you can see on the left there it says Tango, T for Tango. That's the taxiway one. It says S to the right or T for straight on, and that's how they tell us. You go take taxiway Tango, taxiway Sierra.
Right.
Okay, I just need to point a few things out to you so you understand what's going on when we're flying.
What's all of this?
I shall explain that to you as we get round to it.
Wait,
It looks
you recorded
complicated.
This, Dad?
Yeah, I'm recording it, yes.
It looks complicated, but if you can ride a bike, you can fly a plane. Because if I can fly a plane, trust me, you will be able to do it.
I'm
It's
terrible at
there's a
riding.
lot of
You can do
backup. So for one computer, we've got another computer. You know, for so on
Boy,
the
Megalovania.
you've got on the left-hand side. This is called the attitude indicator. It's
The
a
altitude.
very important screen. So you can see on the left there, you've got on the right-hand side of the screen, you've got the altitude, and that's above sea level. You've got the airspeed on the left-hand side. There's a lot of information on that screen. A compass, the way we're heading. And if you move your side stick, Ian,
This one.
that's it. Can you see the crosshair on the screen moving? That tells you where you are in relation to your hand. It's sometimes if you're looking out the window, you're not sure where your hand is. You can just rely on where it is. This is on the ground.
Nice. Dad, are you showing this?
Yeah.
So the Airbus,
What
you're
the-
flying a computer. You're not flying the flight controls. You're telling the computer what you want it to do using that side stick. Does that make
Right.
sense, Ian?
Then what about this one?
That controls the lighting, but that's all set up for you. You don't need to touch that. On here, you've got the routing. So there's like a sat nav. There's our aircraft and there's our route. I'll talk to you more about that. We can zoom in and out of the route up here. But we'll come round to that in a minute. This display tells you all about the instruments, about the engines. So you've got the left-hand engine going down the left-hand side, which is here. And that's the right-hand engine, which is there.
What does this thing do?
Select reverse thrust.
Ah,
So when you land, you hear that engine rev up. That's what the pilots are doing, or what you'll be doing. Okay.
what about this little one?
This is a backup. Like I said, there's a lot of redundancy, as we call it. So if that screen was to fail, and that screen was to fail, because they're the same, that's another backup screen. So we've got various backups just to make sure to cover failures.
Oh, I see that there's some landing gear.
That's right. That's our left main gear, our right main gear, and our nose gear.
Yeah.
So
The
we
one
want
that is
green.
right there.
That's the altitude we'll be flying up to initially on the departure. So
Which one?
5,000 feet.
Oh my god.
And it's displayed on the PFD, the primary flying display there.
Right.
Okay.
Dad, I'll need you to look at them, my father. Because I ain't gonna be watching any videos.
No, you're not, no. I think you'd be too busy.
So, how do we take off? We go onto the runway. We're going to fly off runway 23 left at Manchester. We're between the two runways here. We're going to fly over across towards Wirral, Wallasey, up to Blackpool, turn right across to Pole Hill, down towards Stockport, and then you're going to fly us into Manchester and make a lovely landing. That's the aim. All right. There's no trying. You'll do it. No problem. So how do we do that? Well, we'll fly initially manually. We'll have a little go of the autopilot. You'll have a go of manual flying. I'll brief you a little bit, and then we'll come back to land. You happy with that?
Yeah, but I'm wondering what these do.
They're footrests. We put our feet on that when we're in the cruise. Keeps it all circulating in the lane.
With the
Pedals.
pedals, yeah.
That's right. And you see there, that protects you from your foot going on the screen. That's all that's about. Loads of people say, what's that for? Oh, that's what it's simple as that. So, here we are taxiing out at Manchester. I'll unpause it. I've put a route in here. All the data's in here are V speeds. Have you heard of V1, Ian? V1 is a speed on the runway that if we have a problem before that speed on takeoff, we can reject the takeoff, stop before the end of the runway. After that speed, if we have a problem, if we were to reject the takeoff, we'd go off the end of the runway before we'd stop.
Yeah.
So
what's that big red one?
That's to cancel various warnings that we get.
Okay.
So the biggest speed for us is VR, rotate 140, and I call rotate. What that means is your turn, Captain Ian, to take the aircraft into the air. Okay? How do we do that?
Joystick.
Yes, and we pull back, we raise the nose. But how much do we pull back?
Very slowly.
Well, if you put that crosshair on 10 degrees, try that now, that's about as much force as you require to take off. Okay?
You won't need to be doing it all day, Ian. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
There is the right wing, there is the left wing. Can you see that?
Yeah.
We want to, and there is the nose of the aircraft, that yellow dot.
Yeah, and that's where the plus sign is pointing.
Yeah, so we want to put that dot on 15 degrees, which is 10 to 15, and I'll tell you when to relax that pressure, because it's spring-loaded to centre, isn't it? So if you relax the pressure now, there we go, that's centre. So that's all I want you to do, is pull back by that much and relax the pressure. Okay? So, as we taxi out to the runway, we'll be using the controls here. This is the left engine, the right engine, which is displayed here. As I move it, you can see the donuts turn, move. See? And we just bring it back to idle, because otherwise we'll go off to one side. And
Master wall.
and flaps. You heard the flaps and slats?
Yeah, I have set window seats where the wings are, and I see them go like.
The wing gets bigger or the wing gets smaller.
Yeah.
So we make the wing bigger for takeoff so we can get more lift. And we can take off at a slower speed. And that's controlled here. It's a bit like the reversing of a car. You pinch it.
What about this one?
I'll come to that in a second, but if we pinch that, we can select the size of the wing here and it moves accordingly. It makes it bigger and smaller. That's it. So we just do one selection at a time. So if you could select one, please. That's it. So once they've stopped moving, that's our takeoff setting.
Right.
Okay. This is on top of the wing. When we land, you see the wing become alive.
Yeah.
They're called speed brakes or spoilers. That's all controlled here. Okay. So, and then we put it into the auto position. Just be gentle with it because it's quite delicate. And that's now auto. That's it. So we leave it in that
delicate, Ian. Be careful.
and that's in essence it. Landing gear, lever, that's circle. So we pull it out and pull it. We won't do it on the ground.
It'll crash from the plane to the ground. It'll fall down, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the passengers wouldn't be amused. And then we make sure we've got everything done for the takeoff. It's all in the green. So I'll take the parking brake off, which is here. Lift that up, raise it forward, release. And we're now going to taxi towards the runway. So, if you put your hand on that steering tiller, I'll control the thrust levers. And use very gentle movements, left or right, to keep your right knee in line with that yellow line. Okay?
My right knee.
Yeah, because that's really where the nose of the aircraft is, the nose wheel. And I'll do a few checks. You'll see me doing a few things with taxis and what we normally do. We've warned the cabin crew we're about to take off.
Hello everyone, this is your captain speaking.
Go straight on, please, Ian.
Straight
That
on,
way,
straight on, that way.
to the left.
Oopsie.
Gentle movements now. That's it.
There's just lots of information, but I'm just trying to get you as much information before we
right
have
now.
the
It'll be
fun.
right. It'll be right. There we go. That's better. A bit more right.
Can you come just slightly over to the right?
Right. Stop.
Okay, then relax the pressure. And take the first, follow the first line to the right.
This one. Or
Yeah, the first one. There's two of them to the first one.
this one.
Yep. Follow it to the right now.
Yeah.
That's it. And then relax the pressure now.
Wait, I wonder what these are.
Yeah, don't worry about those.
Okay,
Keep
so
on
we're
up
now
the way
lined up with the runway. Put your feet on the rudder pedals, please, or on the floor. That's it. And your left hand on the side stick. Your left hand, the other left. That's it. And then just to rebrief, for the takeoff, all I want you to do is pull back, okay?
Okay.
As we practiced before. So,
So the
let's
crosshair goes into the 10.
let's take off then. Set the power.
Get back.
Thrust is coming up. It's stabilised. We set takeoff speed, thrust, and I'll keep the aircraft straight on the runway. The airspeed is building. You can see it on the left-hand side of your screen.
60.
60 knots.
70.
80!
At 100 knots, I cross-check it. Standard call for pilots. 100 knots cross-checked.
Shall we lift?
Not yet. I'll tell you when. V1. And now rotate. Pull back, please. Well,
That's it.
bit
There,
more,
perfect.
hold it there. Bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more. Keep it coming up. Keep that yellow dot up to 15. And relax the pressure now. Perfect. And raise the gear, please, by pulling it out. And just pull it out first. And then up. That's it. Relax.
Oh my god.
Autopilot 1 is engaged. You can relax, release your hands, and that's the takeoff. Well done, Ian.
Oh my god.
Bit cloudy up there today.
Yeah.
Now we're flying a route that's called the Standard Instrument Departure. It's a set route that air traffic control expect us to fly.
Right.
Could you bring the thrust levers back to the climb detent so that align that white line with that club? That's it. And now in thrust climb. You know when you take off in an aircraft, you can sometimes hear the thrust come
We're
back.
tilting. We're tilting.
Right. Autopilot.
Autopilot's engaged and it's turning.
Good call though, you actually were looking.
So could you raise the flaps to 0, please? Bring the wing up as we're now accelerating to this one. That's the flap. So push it forward to 0. And there we go. The wing is now getting smaller.
Hey Mom, how's it going out there?
What speed are we doing in? Any idea?
And we're slightly turning up on our pilot maybe.
What speed do you think we're doing? There it is on the left hand side, 220 knots, and we're accelerating. The maximum speed we can do is 250 knots.
Wait, are we heading down? We're
We'll level off
heading.
5,000 feet.
No. You see that the aircraft's still climbing. It's coming closer to steady now. Sit back, keep the illusion going. That's it.
I can literally see the top.
Yeah. Sit back, see, that makes it more real, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still slightly climbing.
We're actually level at 5,000 feet now. Maintaining 250
There
knots.
we go.
And that's because all aircraft going into Manchester stop at 6,000, so we miss each other by 1,000 feet, that's the idea. And then air traffic control will say to you, Ian, climb to 8,000 feet. So how do we do that? The autopilot's engaged, all the autopilot selections are done up here. So there's 5,000 feet. Could you twist that knob so as it reads 8,000? That's it. And pull the knob there. That's it, and if just gently. And then on there, the thrust comes up automatically. We've got 8,000 in the pre-selected window, and we're now climbing. And it's as simple as that. I'll set us to a flight level. Our air traffic control say, can you turn left heading 230 degrees, please? So the autopilot's engaged, and as pilots of an Airbus, off by this stage we're flying the autopilot. So could you select 230 degrees?
This one.
Yep, by twisting it left. That's it. Keep going left. And then pull.
Little top.
That's it. And you can see that's a heading, and we're now turning the aircraft. It's also a heading at 230 degrees.
It's a bit foggy out there.
Got a bit cloudy.
We're being consumed, man.
When we go into cloud and the temperature's below 10 degrees, we put the engine anti-ice on, which protects it from ice. So we're levelling at 8,000 feet.
We're almost there.
Now, could you turn right heading 290 degrees, please?
This one.
That's it.
Where?
290. 290. Based on the compass.
Oh god. We're moving down.
Don't worry, you can take care of it.
Yeah. I'm almost there.
Perfect. Thank you. And the aircraft will level the wings at 290 degrees.
Go to the bottom. Come to the bottom of the display, 270.
Yeah, look there.
75.
Or you can look on there, right?
Straight to the runway.
You can level at 290. Stop the turn.
Oh my god, this is so cool. Hey Dad, could you send me the video? So I can-
Yeah.
Could you climb, please, flight level to 12,000 feet?
Mm. 1,
And pull. Again, the thrust comes up, we start to raise the nose, and we're now increasing our altitude, and we'll stop at 12,000.
2. God. This is amazing.
You like it?
Yeah.
Good. We'll get you some give you some flying to do in a minute. We'll just get above this cloud. It's easier when you're not in cloud for the first time.
Okay.
So, can you see we're at 9,300 feet now?
9,500 feet.
As soon as we pass 10,000 feet, the aircraft no longer has to adhere to a speed limit. So we're now going to lower the nose and we're going to accelerate up to 320 knots. Does it automatically. Could you let the passengers out, please, Ian? By putting the seatbelt sign off. Landing lights in to retract them. So these are the landing lights on these two switches. Push them all the way forward. That's it. Engine anti-ice off, please. So we switch those lights off. That's it. That's what we do at 10,000 feet. Typically, if it's not turbulent, we let the passengers out. If it's turbulent, we pop the seatbelt signs on. So now we're levelling at 12,000 feet.
I'm guessing it's the way to go to the loo now for me.
yeah, there's a big queue now. Yeah, that's right. Now let's air traffic control say there's an aircraft ahead of you. Could you reduce your speed to 280 knots?
280 knots.
That's it. So that's altitude, heading, speed. There we go. So select 280 knots. Just rotate it.
280, right?
That's it. And pull. And then thrust comes off automatically, and the speed is now reducing to 280 knots. You can see it on here as well, it's clearer. You've got the same, it's easy for you over there, but it's easy for yourself on there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can see it.
let's have a go at flying the aircraft. So, if you'd like to disconnect the autopilot, please, Ian,
Which is which one?
which is the missile button,
button.
the red button. Press it once.
Better press mine.
You're okay with your feet because the aircraft takes care of that bit for you.
And that's the warning.
That's it. That's telling you the autopilot is off. That's
AP.
autopilot off, yeah, AP off. So you're now flying the aircraft with 150 passengers behind you.
You know, every single flight sim that I do, we need to control ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and no autopilot is able to engage.
When you're flying for 10 hours going to Las Vegas, you do need an autopilot. Oops, is that my phone? Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'll put that in my pocket. Right, so
Look away.
how do we fly the aircraft then?
I'll film my original mask.
Okay, good. Right, carry on.
Can you see on the screen, on the PFD, there's a vertical green line and there's a horizontal green line.
Yeah.
The vertical, and there's a yellow box where they
Yeah,
meet
the
on the
nose.
top there.
The knows.
So the game is that we play, keep that yellow box on those green lines. So if I move the vertical line to the right by selecting heading and twisting heading, see the lines gone to the right? Do away. Keep that yellow box on that vertical green line. So move that side stick to the right. Keep it going, keep it going. And when the yellow box is on that green line, relax the pressure. And relax. And the aircraft will just keep turning like that.
Oh god, oh god, oh god.
And when it says go left, that's it. Spot on, very good. That's good. All you have to do is keep that yellow box on that green line.
Okay.
See the horizontal one?
Yeah. Oh god, pull up, pull up, pull up.
That's it.
And now keep that yellow box on the horizontal one.
I overshot it. Oh!
It's not like that. Lots of people can't do that. People I see stuff.
Yeah.
Nice and good in. See, it's exactly on the line. And the key is, like you're doing, keep them on both the vertical and the horizontal line at the same time. So as soon as you're coping with that, I'm going to turn it right.
Oh, come on.
And you do both at the same time.
Oh god. How am
Don't
I?
panic, you know, fine. Keep on going, keep on going.
Keep the scan going.
That's it. Doing good. Doing good now.
Come on.
Nice bank.
little gentle movements. That's good.
And we're dropping.
Well enough. As long as you follow those lines, the aircraft will do what we've asked it to do.
Oh god.
Doing well. I've asked you to do a lot there, and you're coping with it very well.
Come on.
You mind your business, you're doing business.
So where's that horizontal one?
That's right, you're getting there. There you go.
Whoa, whoa, in the water.
So what you've done there, Ian, is you've turned the aircraft through about 50 degrees, you've climbed the aircraft and you've maintained the speed, and you've just achieved all of that on your first go by following those green lines, and they're called flight director bars, flight directors. They're directing you to operate the flight. So it's quite simple, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And that's how we operate the aircraft, following those green bars.
I'm just trying to keep myself level with it.
That's why we have autopilot. Because imagine doing that for 10 hours in.
Holy flip! You'll be like, that's it.
Do you want to put the autopilot in for a second, please, Ian?
Yeah.
So I can sort of do things. AP1, there's two of them. Generally I use AP2, you use AP1.
Right, okay.
Then relax. Let's have a little look on your sat-nav screen. We've got up towards Blackpool now, and we're going to turn right towards the Pennines, Coal
Right.
Hill, and then round.
Well, I'll need to figure out how to change my mask.
You need to change them.
Yeah, I found my original mask.
Just leave it on here, it's fine. Or put both on.
And as pilots now, we'd be preparing for our arrival into Manchester. We'd be talking about how we're going to fly the approach, what we expect air traffic control to tell us. Is it going to be a busy time of day and lots of other aircraft? And more importantly, what's the weather doing? So as a good first officer, I would go away and go and speak to air traffic control and get the weather, or actually get it on a frequency, a radio frequency.
Right, and wouldn't we be having headphones?
We would ordinarily be having headphones, but if we put headphones on with our face mask in here, we can't hear each other.
Yeah.
That's why we haven't got them on. So I'm just going to get the weather, and I'll put some weather details in. The temperature is 15 degrees, and the wind is 230 degrees at 10 knots, so a nice day.
Wait, shouldn't we place our seatbelts on?
We will do at 10,000 feet in the descent. Have you heard of a thing called an ILS?
Annihilate.
An instrument landing system.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'll do a very complex description now. That's the runway. We're going to land that way. There's a radio beacon that goes out from the centre line of the runway to about 25 miles.
25!
And that tells us to go left or right. There's another one that goes out at 3 degrees from the runway, and that tells us to go up or down.
Cute.
And if we can put ourselves on that 3 degree slope and the centre line, we can fly the ILS and takes us all the way to the runway. But the good news for you is we'll couple these flight director bars to it, so all you have to do is keep that yellow box on those green bars like before, okay? Is that good?
What is this supposed to mean?
We can put an iPad in there if we're instructing. When we have professional pilots in, we get a lot of airline pilots in, we can set up failures and we can operate it all from here, so that's all that is.
And see how they react.
Yes, that's right. Like a proper simulator, as she says. When we land, we need to brake the aircraft. Not brake as in damage it, we need to decelerate the aircraft.
Auto brake.
So that's what we can select. So we'll use, you can select auto brake medium please for landing. That's now on, ready to go. So when we land, the wheels touch the runway, it will brake the aircraft to a halt.
Right. But what about the which one is when should we turn on the landing gear?
The landing gear goes down at about 2,000 feet on the approach, about that. But I'll talk to you about that. So we've briefed for the approach. If you could route us direct to Denby, so using this is called a flight management guidance computer, using the sat nav, if you press direct to DIR, it brings up our flight plan. There's Denby. If you could line select next to Denby please, and it draws a little dotted yellow line. You can probably see that on here. Is that what we want to do? Put the autopilot back in and direct to, you insert that. The aircraft will now fly that direction towards that waypoint, Denby.
Oh my god, I can't believe we're flying over Blackpool, Dad.
Yeah.
Say, I always wondered why they called it Blackpool. Wait, do they have a pool that is actually black?
Probably in the past, yes.
It'll be something like that.
Too bad that we
Captain
don't
Ian,
have-
on the screen, you can see a down arrow.
Yeah.
That means that's where the computer reckons we should descend, start our descent. Does that make sense? So air traffic control now say to you, descend to flight level 60. That's it. And cool. Watch what happens. The thrust comes off. It's coming back to idle. We start to descend.
Oh no, the computer wants the horizontal line.
It's going to. That's doing what you were doing. It's just catching up with it. It's directing the flight.
So there's like two computers, one's telling the other computer what to do. And sometimes you turn off one computer and do it yourself. Yeah.
That must be the headphones right there.
Yes. With the instructor on the back.
Right.
We can access all the systems on board the aircraft. Here we can have a look at the fuel page. That's the left wing, the right wing, and how much fuel is in it.
Wait, did we charge up?
We took off with 6 tons of fuel, 6,000 kilograms. We've got 4,840 now, and that tells us how much fuel is in each tank.
What happens if we run out of fuel?
Well, that's what we do in our pre-flight planning. We make sure that we've got more than enough fuel to get from A to B,
Okay.
from B to C.
But what about if it doesn't? What happens if someone forgets to check?
Well, that's why we have 2 of us. We're always checking. There's a lot of people that check, but we could. For what you're asking is, if we had a fuel leak, we could run out of fuel. So we would pick up. We regularly check
Wait,
the left wing and the right wing, and if they're about equal, we add up how much fuel is in it, how much fuel we've used, and it should total what we started with. So we're always checking things. Hydraulics, we can access the hydraulic system. So all the systems pages are displayed on here, and if there's any failure, it will automatically tell us.
okay, what about these two?
Those are the most important switches in the flight deck, and we never touch them in flight because that switches the engine on and switches it off. So if we switch both of them off, we have a double engine failure. So that's why it's very difficult to select those. We don't touch them at all in flight unless we need to shut an engine down.
Right.
Okay.
Everyone is down, Flip.
Yeah. What can I show you? I simulated an hydraulic failure. I turn off the yellow hydraulic system engine pump. This is what happens. See, there's a master caution.
Oh no.
So that gets our attention. It tells us what the problem is. Hydraulic yellow engine tube pump. We leave it for now in, because I'm just simulating it. And you can see the pump's failed.
Right.
But the green system is now pressurising the yellow system, so it's a non-event. There's nothing to be concerned about.
Right.
Can you switch it back on again, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Now, it wouldn't take off like that, but you can still fly like that.
Yeah. So if there are any failures in flight, everything's duplicated so that we can cover it all,
Right.
and it's perfectly safe to continue to operate.
Wait, when I went to go to bed on these seatbelts.
We'd have seatbelts on in flight because the aircraft's moving, or if we're in a simulator that moves, we'd have them on. But we're in a simulator that's fixed base. That means it doesn't move, so we don't need them on. If you could continue to descend to altitude 4,000 feet, please, Captain.
4,000.
That's it. Perfect. And if you could push that button there,
What's this?
that one there, that puts us onto a local setting, which means we're now compensating the local weather pressure system, like a barometer,
Right.
to the local area. So it's now reading an altitude, a correct altitude.
Yeah. Somehow I feel like I want to just slide off.
Now, one thing we haven't done, we haven't strapped the passengers in. So could you do that for me, please?
The seatbelt light.
Do you remember where it is?
Down.
No helping. Dad. Oh, somewhere there. Get warmer. That's it. All the way up.
What about the smoking one?
That stays in automatic. It's always on. It doesn't really. You can put it on if you want. It does the same thing.
Well, are you seeing that?
Could you reduce speed to 230 knots, please?
230. You got it, Captain.
Right on. Good job, as they say in America.
230. Almost at it. Like 204.
230. That's it. So now we're about to. Do you know what altitude we're at?
We are up. We're not at altitude 4,000 yet.
Yeah, that's right. We're passing 4,300 feet now, going to 4,000 feet. We're decelerating to 230 knots. And if you could turn left heading 100 degrees, please.
This one.
Excellent.
So to what?
Left turn heading 100. Other left, that's it.
100. Well, this is Flight Simulator 101.
Yeah.
Whoops. I accidentally did it to 99.
That's alright.
So I changed it back.
And that's what you do all the time. You're always cross-checking everything to make sure you've got it right. And this is what air traffic will do. They'll radar vector you, they call, give you headings to fly, to bring you into the airport.
The one thing you're doing right is you're repeating what he's telling you to do.
Yes.
So you verbally confirm you've heard it correctly.
Yeah.
That's another thing that the cockpit crew do.
Yeah, and I haven't even had breakfast. I have had breakfast, which was my leftovers and the chips.
Yeah.
And I haven't had my medicine.
No.
And I can't believe I'm actually
Flying aeroplane.
a fake one, actually.
That's a real cockpit though.
Real cockpit, yeah.
And this is how we practice for real. 15 miles from touchdown. That's where it says there on the bottom left of the screen.
Right.
On the PFD.
15.2.
That's it. So we're just positioning ourselves for final approach. So let's give speed control to the aircraft to do. If you push that button now, please, the aircraft will now correctly manage the speed at the appropriate state of the wing, the flaps and slats, for the approach speed.
It's decelerating.
That's right. And it's decelerating to that green dot speed. Could you turn right heading 270 degrees, please?
270.
Yeah, it's a long right turn, all the way around to the right.
Oh my god, we're turning.
Keep going, keep spinning that wheel. Keep pressing and guessing.
Which one was
270, please.
270? It's a long turn.
It is.
Almost through.
Perfect, thank you.
Oh my god. Flying over layers is awesome.
There's a pin on it now, I think.
Mess
that's
man on.
You always have to be aware of the height of the ground below you.
Right.
In case air traffic control to send you to it. They won't, but you always have to be on the watch for
Wait, what if someone snuck in here with a bomb?
that. Well, the door would be locked in real aircraft. So if we could arm the approach, please. I have the localizer. This is that beam I was telling you about from the centre line of the runway. Press that button. And what that does,
Yeah.
on top there, it says lock blue. On your screen it says lock blue. That means it's armed and ready to capture that centre line of the runway.
Alright.
Okay? And when it shows lock green or lock
Oh my
star,
God.
there we go. It's trimming the aircraft automatically. That's the hamster wheel. And if you could arm the approach as well, please. I press the approach button, and that means we'll fly down the glide slope to the runway.
And it says left.
Yes.
I'm a left.
If you could select flap 1, please, we'll start to make the wing bigger and start to slow down, ready to make the approach into the runway.
What about left?
So there's
Left
flap 1.
2 and left 3 and
We'll
left.
come to that in a minute. We're going too fast to cut all the flaps out. It would damage them because of the
Right.
airflow. So we
Hang
need
on.
to slow down slowly. So take flap 2 now, please. That's good. And there's flap 2. The slaps are moving, the flaps are moving, and we're slowing down. We've captured the glide slope. We're on the centre line of the runway. So there is the glide slope, that magenta diamond.
What is the red dot?
And there is the centre line of the runway.
Okay, but what is the red dot?
The red dot,
200.
which red dot?
The ones at 200.
Oh, at the top there, those boxes.
Yeah.
2,500.
If we flew too fast into those red boxes, it would damage the flaps. So every time we take a stage of flap, those red boxes come down because the wing is getting bigger, we need to fly slower.
Yeah, it's a runway, have you?
Huh? Oh my god, I see it just there. Thanks for telling me that. So what do all of those things do?
They're all like your fuses at home. They're called circuit breakers.
Ah.
So if you need to isolate a circuit, you can just pull one of them. Right, how far out are we? All these questions, I know I'm throwing loads of questions at you. Bottom left,
Bottom
screen.
left.
Other side, 9.7 miles.
9.7.
We're slowing down nicely.
I can't believe I brought my Iron Man pants. And I also got my Iron Man Nerf toy in the car.
Would you place your hand on the side stick, please, Ian? The left side, that's the control. We won't move it just yet because you can see the aircraft autopilot is keeping that yellow box on those green lines.
Yeah.
But we're just getting ready. We always fly when we're getting nearer to a runway with our hands on the stick, just in case the autopilot fails.
Say, what's this one?
That's the push to talk to air traffic control, but it's unserviceable at the moment.
This is Captain Ian and hello, air traffic control. Say, what happens if we do? This is your captain speaking.
Well, we go out to air traffic control and they hear you, which I've done in the past. Or we can speak to the passengers as well by pressing that button.
This is
PA, passenger announcement. And if you press that button, you can speak to the passengers.
this is your captain speaking, and welcome to our flight.
2,000.
Now, 2,000 feet. Gear down, please, Captain.
Huh?
Put the landing gear down, please, Captain.
Oh, landing gear.
Down here. There they are. They're unlocked, which means they're moving. They're in red. We want 3 green lights like we had on takeoff.
Okay.
1,
1, 2, 3.
Gear is down. On the spoilers. I'll put the lights on. I'll do that a little bit because you're going to concentrate on flight. Flap 3, please, Ian. Captain.
3. Yay.
And final stage, flap 4. This is the biggest the wing can possibly be now.
Oh my god. Look how big it is. I can't do that because I might hit you.
I'd rather you didn't. Now, would you like to have a go at flying this?
Okay.
So, red button. Keep that yellow box on those green lines. the vertical and the horizontal green lines. Little small movements. Smaller the better. So follow that horizontal one up, that's it.
Speed.
Ignore that.
Speed. Speed.
Lower the nose a little bit.
Speed.
Lower the nose.
Speed.
I'm going to be quite on your case to try and keep that yellow box on those green lines.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Can we have a subway after this?
Can we talk about half these lines of the plane, please?
Yeah.
Keep that yellow box on the...
Dual input.
New input. Okay.
Dual input.
The little small movements that you're doing when we're in the
Dual input. 1000. Speed. Speed.
small movements. As we come over the threshold of the runway, the autopilot will call out, the auto voice will say 50, 40, 30
Dual
is the
input.
height.
New input.
When it says 30 feet here, I want you to just raise the nose a little bit, like pull it back just a little bit, okay?
30 feet.
When it says 30 feet. Yeah.
Dual input.
We're being cleared to land.
Dual input.
We said that.
Dual input.
Why does it keep
500.
Just raise it a little bit, that's it.
Dual input.
Oh shit!
So there's an aircraft that's taking off there.
400.
We better not
Back in,
touch
that's it.
that.
100 above.
Checked. You see the runway is clear, we've been cleared to land.
200. Minimum.
Continue. And remember
Dual input.
we're listening for 30 feet to call out.
100.
I'm trying to keep it on.
Dual input.
Look out the window now and look down the runway.
50. 40. 30.
That's it, raise the nose a little
20.
bit.
Retard.
Hold it there, hold it there. Don't
Hold
touch
it,
it,
hold it,
Phil.
hold
Hold
it.
it there. Beautiful landing. Well done.
Oh my god. This is one of my greatest experiences. I actually became the captain. The captain. Oh my god.
We'll bring that
The
back to
hamster
idle.
wheel.
The brakes are automatically braking this to a halt.
Oh my god.
Bring the aircraft to a stop. You could put the parking brake on, please, Captain. Lift it up and rotate it. That's it. The brakes are set to par. And we're back at Manchester.
Nice.
Well done indeed.